I don't get involved in what we would think of as so-called national issues. We got enough on our own hands right here in South Bend. So I don't usually see much benefit in taking my eye off of matters of local concern. But when I was asked to come today, and I began to reflect on this Trayvon Martin tragedy, I began to see that this truly is a matter of local concern. Whether we treat each other with caution and respect, or with loathing and suspicion, that is an issue everywhere, including right here on the west side of South Bend, Indiana. And we had better take that issue seriously, and we had better take that issue personally. There is still much we don't know about what happened to Trayvon and why. What we do know is that one man looked at another and thought that what he saw told him everything he needed to know about that young man. What we know is that a situation became violent that did not have to. What we know is that in the end, an unarmed 17-year-old boy carrying a bag of Skittles and some iced tea lay dead in the street. And the man who shot him walks free. In other words, we know enough to know that something was horribly, horribly wrong. And we know enough to ask ourselves what we need to do in our own community to make sure that that sort of thing never, ever, ever happens here in South Bend. Amen. We got to ask ourselves how to confront crime in our neighborhoods without confronting each other in a rush to judgment. We need to ask ourselves how to recognize the barriers that stop us from knowing one another first as human beings. And we got to ask ourselves how to tear down those barriers wherever we find them. We need to ask ourselves how to build trust across racial and cultural lines so that a poisonous misunderstanding cannot even take root, let alone lead to a violent death of an unarmed young man. Amen. We need to ask ourselves what is in our own hearts and whether we truly have any idea what is in the hearts of others. And we may not like the answers, because that's going to require us to think differently, to act differently, to spend time differently. To achieve better understanding, we are going to have to enter into dialogue with people we do not normally spend time with.
That's right.
We ought to visit each other in parts of the city we're not used to spending time in. We ought to listen to ideas and attitudes we're not always comfortable with. Finding the answers means we're going to have to look past surfaces and try to see each other as people. I'm here to say that no piece of clothing, no veil, no hat, no sunglasses, no hair, no skin, no hood, no hood should ever get in our way of seeing one another as human beings first. All social evil flows in some way from human beings' strange and selective blindness toward the humanity of others. And all social good flows in some way from the ability to treat another human being with as much concern and care as we have for ourselves and our own. That is among the greatest things of which human beings are capable. And I believe that light that shows us the humanity of others, is what Dr. King was talking about when he told us that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. That light is the only thing that could have saved Trayvon's life. And it is the only thing that can lead our community to a better future. Officials like me can't tell people how to think. We can't order people to love one another. We can't legislate what's in people's hearts. But everyone who is a leader, and the fact that you are here means everyone here is a leader. I don't care if you lead a city, or a church, or a group of friends, or a household, or if all you have to lead is your own soul. Everybody here is a leader. And every leader here needs to assume responsibility for leading this community in a way that will elevate that knowledge and concern for one another. One another, to see one another, not as a symbol, not as a stranger, not as a threat, but as a human being, worthy of concern and entitled to respect. No one of us can do it alone, so let's get to work doing it together. Thank you.
At this time, I want to bring forth the Chief of Police, Chief Boykins, to say a few words.
When I was a kid, my dad would tell me about Emmett Till, how he was murdered, and how back then there was no justice. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? All right, I'll go over again. I would do it again. Well, I got it at home. As I said, when I was a kid, my dad would tell me about Emmett Till. Maybe most of you don't know Emmett Till, but he was a young black man that was killed down south. A very sad situation that happened back in that time. And there was no justice for him at all. They're still seeking justice for him. I remember seeing young black people on TV being beat with baseball bats and bitten by dogs for just peacefully walking through the streets. I'm kind of aging myself, but that's what I used to see on TV growing up in my neighborhood, and not when my neighborhood is like Winnemat, a countryside town off the side. But there still was no justice. Today, we're here again seeking justice for a young man who lost his life. A young man that died way too soon that he had to, without explanations of why, where, and because. The city of South Bend and the mayor of South Bend and the South Bend Police Department will continue to work to build a stronger community and relationship with our community. We may fall down sometime, and it may not work sometime, but in that process we'll get up, and we'll be stronger and more passionate to make a more positive change in our community. Because if we don't do that, there'll be more mothers and fathers losing their kids. We have to stop the violence, not just when we are shot or somebody shoots someone. We got to stop the violence in our own community. The guns, the weapons, the knives. When I read reports in the morning about the number of homicides or shots or wounded, it is amazing how many people go out and shoot each other every night. For what? For what? I don't care who shoots somebody, you shot somebody, you're taking someone's life. And there's no need for it. We have to, as a people, as a community, learn and work together to stop that. Otherwise, rallies like this is nothing. We'll be doing it over again. We want rallies like this to stay positive for as long as we can. We should be proud of what we're coming out here today to do as a people. And we should continue to do that without thought and without passion. So as a police chief, I'm going to do what I can. I didn't wear my hoodie today, but if you see me in the boxing club, I have my hoodie all the time. You just got to catch me at a different time there. Thanks.
At this time, I want you to hear from a young man who is going to speak to this generation around Trayvon's age. And if there are others of you in the crowd who are young folks and have been touched by this, in part 2 over there, we're going to have some performances as well as an opportunity for youth to speak out. But I want to introduce you to Reverend Trayvon Michael McFarland.